Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome back to another video. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Today's the day. It's going to be the big fusion drop. We got the fusion schedule. So let's jump right into the schedule, and we'll try to navigate through as efficiently as possible so that we make sure we conserve our resources. I think it's going to be a little bit of a tricky one, so let's get right into it. So quick note here on the Plarium Play. If you guys want to check out these new calendar that Plarium has for us, it's kind of nice. It shows us the events in a little bit more detail. So if you guys want to check it out that way, this is not the fusion schedule. It is, but it isn't, but it's not the one that we're used to using. So here's the fusion schedule that we're used to seeing. On first glance here, this is exactly what I expected. So it's actually really, really good. And I'm actually really happy to see this because it's exactly what we were talking about, how it compares to the Blizzard past fusion. There's many similarities to the old fusion, the Blizzard fusion. It has the same amount of total fragments, which is 450. Sorry, my body is blocking away, but it's basically 450. It has the hero's path, as I've stressed in my last several videos. So this is exactly what I was expecting. It has the hero's path, and it's near the end of the fusion. This is, I believe, St. Patty's Day weekend. So this hero's path may or may not be correlated to something St. Patty's Day related, but the hero's path near the end of the fusion is exactly what I was expecting. And you know what's very nice is that they listed exactly what they want from it. Summon shards, summon soul stones. It feels like that's a little bit stingy. It feels like there should have been one more thing, like either dungeon divers or champion training with this as well, but it's only stones and shards, so that's a little bit tough, I think. In the Blizzard event, fusion, it had this exact same shard stones, but it also had training as well. So we were using that as a base for what we thought the hero's path for this fusion would be. So this is basically as expected, which is awesome. And there's 4 full void epics here. So the void epics, you have to collect the 4 25 fragments to complete each one. As per the old Blizzard fusion, there was no like splits. I believe there's no like 5 and 20 or 10 and 15. It was just 25. So every one of these that say 25, I believe it's a single instance of 25. So I don't think there's going to be any kind of split there. So the reason why this is actually more difficult is because since these are void legendaries, they're going to be harder to pull from shards, which makes obviously this fusion a little bit harder to complete. But make sure you guys follow what I have to say in terms of the schedule, and then we should be on track. I think it looks pretty straightforward to me. So like I said, summon champions from shards and soul stones. There is 50 allowable to skip. So if you don't want to participate in this hero's path, you just have to complete everything else. If you want to participate in the hero's path, you can skip 2 events here. But anyways, let's start at the beginning here. So today's day one. Day one, we got the dragon and training tournament. So dragon and training together is actually a good combination because dragon, there's more combinations where you can farm dragon with food. There's more champ available that can do that. So keep in mind, guys, for anything dungeon related, if you guys are worried about maximum efficiency in terms of energy, do dungeon 20, and then do 24, and then do hard 10, and then 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 25. So that's going to be roughly the way you want to complete these dungeons in terms of energy efficiency. Of course, dungeon 20 won't give you much gear that is keepable because obviously it's not the drop rate won't be as high, but that's going to depend on what you value more or what resources you have. But that's just something I want to say off the bat. Doing it this way, doing it with dungeon 20, for example, will save you a couple hundred energy. I think it's about 15% more efficient than R10, for example. So it'll save you a bit of energy. But so first you're gonna start with dragon and then training. The thing is, we're waiting for the dungeon diver for any serious energy spend. So unfortunately, dungeon diver won't start until Saturday, which means on Thursday, Friday, we're just going to be doing dragon and training. You could be focusing maybe more on the tavern with champion training on these 2 days. Once the summon rush opens, it's going to give us maybe a little bit more food, and then we can maybe focus a little bit more on tavern. I don't think we want to spend all our energy on dragon too early, so keep that in mind, guys. So it might be using energy for like campaign to train a little bit more efficiently if you don't have a lot of brews, for example, and saving some of the dragon tournament for the dungeon diver drop on Saturday. Usually I like to do my dungeons together with the dungeon diver so I don't have to spend extra energy to complete the dungeon diver. Usually these dungeon divers are about 3,700 points, which is about 5,000 energy roughly. And usually to complete one of these ice golem or dragon dungeon event tournaments, it takes about 2,500 energy. So having both of these dragon and ice golem together with the dungeon diver is exactly what you want to see, because now you can put the 2.5k energy into dragon, 2.5k energy into ice golem, and you'll be pretty close at finishing the dungeon diver without having to spend extra energy trying to finish it off, because that's kind of a little bit more wasteful in terms of energy. However, filling out these first 2 days of what you want to do is a little bit clumsy. You could just put all your extra free energy into just training, which might be more efficient for training, but obviously doesn't help for a dragon tournament. It really depends on how much time you have on the weekend as well. If you're going to be strapped for time, it might be a little bit more difficult to jam the energy into dragon for 2 days, because like I said, you still need 2,500 energy for Saturday and Sunday. Up until this point, definitely save your inbox energy. Use your inbox energy on the weekend for the dragon tournament. We're going to have the 2x speed event, so it is a nice event to grind some extra dragon if you have some extra energy. Personally, like our CBC reward energy and I have a lot inbox energy that's going to be ready. I've been saving for the last 2 weeks, so this shouldn't be too much of an issue if you've been saving a lot of your energy. As for this summon rush, so here's the big one, right? So this summon rush, I don't think it's a good idea to skip this. I think moving along the schedule, the first half of the schedule is actually very straightforward. Like I said, the two dungeon events, Dragon, Ice Golem, they both land in the Dungeon Diver, which is exactly what you want. That's perfect. We have champ training together with the Dragon and Ice Golem, which is perfect. Both of these dungeons are good for some kind of solo or dual type teams that give you some food, so you can be a little bit more efficient that way as well. Let's take a quick look at this summon rush. So here is the breakdown from the Blizzard fusion. So this might give us some clues into what we're looking at here. So like I was saying, this is the old Blizzard's summon rush breakdown. So they had the 25 fragments for their epic at 3,000 points. This means it's going to be 6 sacreds that we're going to have to commit to the summon rush. It's actually quite expensive. In my mind, it probably should have been somewhere around 4 and a bit. Usually 2150 or so would have been a nice threshold for it. But be prepared for 6 sacreds for your summon rush, as per the old Blizzard fusion. All right, so that's going to be the first half. So the first half of the fusion, like I said, is pretty straightforward. So we got a classic arena takedown. We got the 3 artifact enhancement events. So these ones, like, you guys just going to need silver. You'll be farming, training. Make sure you guys build up silver. Make sure you gear cleanse yourself, obviously. And then we're gonna look at we have the 3 dungeon divers here, which is again pretty standard for most fusions nowadays. They don't look like super long ones, so they're probably just 3 standard size ones, which is 3,700 points, which again is about 5,000 energy. So let's look at the second half here. We got CVC coming out here on this day, so it's going to be a little bit of a lull here. Let's look at the second half of this fusion. So we got Fire Knight starting next week, together with training. So that's not going to be ideal, right? Because these two don't really pair up together very nicely with the single dungeon diver. So that means we're going to be putting in about 5k energy into this Fire Knight, and that's going to be going into this to complete this dungeon diver. Again, not ideal. Hopefully they got some kind of event, maybe. Actually, it's going to be regen. It's going to be 2x regen gear for the Fire Knight, so it might be a good time to farm up some regen gear. But yeah, you're going to be putting about 5k energy into this Fire Knight tournament to finish off this dungeon diver. And then we got the standard takedown here again. And then we're going to have the champion chase. So let me bring up something for you guys here. All right, so this is the old reward structure for the champion chase for the Blizzard fusion. Sorry for the image. I just pulled off one of my old videos. But here we got with the 2,500 points for the fragments for the epic. Again, this is going to be just a guide. For all we know, player might jack up the point thresholds on all of these fragments for this fusion, because 1, this fusion is kind of insane. 2, they're void epics, so maybe each piece they value more. It might be a bit more. Just something to keep in mind. But here, 2,500 is the threshold for the fragments, which is pretty standard for champion chase. So they also had we also had the ability to fuse some of the fragment epics, which means that this price is actually a pretty good price for 2,500. For our fusion, for Armanz, during the champion chase, we actually have the ability to fuse three of the epics. So if you have been totally up to date with all the events, and during the champion chase, you could theoretically have 3 of the epics ready to fuse for a champion chase. If you are not participating in the Hero's Path, you technically could have all 4 epics ready to be fused during this champion chase event. So you can complete basically all the events and then do the 4 goats during the champion chase. That's a free 1,000 points, which means the champion chase would be relatively easy, at about 1,500 points extra for you to get. So also for the Blizzard fusion, it was 2x voids, so maybe people were a little bit easier for pulling for a champion chase. It's a good time to summon things like your fragment fusions from the past. For example, like I still have Fatalis, I can summon him. I still have Ancora, I can summon her. Mystery shards are also a very good candidate to be used for champion chase. They're a decent amount of points. You can also pull them food. Obviously, we have the champion training here. Overall, I think participating in this, it might be a little bit of a discount. Obviously, like I said, we have three of the fusions epics that we can fuse during this. So I think it's a good idea to maybe participate in this as well. In terms of what we want to do, if we're participating in Hero's Path, personally, I'm going to participate in Hero's Path because in the past, the Hero's Path has been very, very juicy. I would 100% imagine that this Hero's Path for Armanz will be Armanz's 5-star soul, similar to how Blizzard's soul was offered and Korra's soul was offered. Armanz's soul as a 5-star soul for his Hero Path, I think, is 100% worth it. However, it's going to be summoning shards and stones, so it's a little bit expensive, because it basically means if you want to play in the Summon Rush, Champion Chase, and Heroes Pass, that's basically 3 summoning events in 3 weeks time or 2.5 weeks time. It's a little bit heavy. So the only way we can really get through this is skipping one of the Summon or Champion Chase tournaments. But it seems like obviously I think the best plan of attack is to complete the Summon Rush first, just so we can have a quick look at this event, complete it first, and then we're going to be ahead of the game heading into the second half of the fusion. I think what makes sense is also to complete the Champion Chase as efficiently as possible. So like I said, you have 3 epics you can fuse during this event. That's going to take a load off on the point total, and then try to summon maybe Fragment, use Mystery Shards to finish off this Champion Chase. Hopefully they don't throw any surprises, like make it like 3,500 or something, in which case the plan can definitely change. And then what I would probably do is probably skip some of these other events. The biggest event that I think would be worth skipping is probably this training event and this Dungeon Diver event. The main reason is because training with Fire Knight and Spider is not the best. So you have to basically have dedicated focused training time. So you can't really double dip with like dungeon diving and training. But training can be cheap if you have a lot of food, if you have a lot of brews, for example. You don't need energy. I definitely recommend using brews for training. There's no point in saving brews unless you plan to win like one of these training tournaments. Although even for me, that's like a pipe dream, because I don't even bother trying to win one of those ones. It's just too much stress. And this Dungeon Diver is, you can definitely skip it. It's going to be 5k energy again, solely on Spider. So if you're low on energy, skipping this Dungeon Diver, skipping this Champion Trading event kind of makes sense if you're participating in the Heroes Path. So for me, I'm definitely going to be participating in the Heroes Path, and I can think about what I want to skip. Either I skip Spider completely, or I skip Spider Dungeon Divers. That's going to be a big energy savings. That's going to be like a 5k energy saving completely. Okay, so that's going to be the big thing. I think I might actually jump into training, finish it off, because it doesn't really take too much energy. It's just going to take brews, a little bit of time, and then I might just fully skip the Spider tournament, and I might fully skip the Dungeon Diver tournament. Like I said, that's going to be like 5k energies fully saved. Make sure you guys allot whatever shards you have saved. Make sure you guys are prepared for the Heroes Path. Like, these are things that were all predicted. Honestly, I've been making videos the last couple days about preparing for this fusion, and so far it hasn't shown any kind of surprises, which is really good to see. So I'm very prepared for all of this. Hopefully you guys are ready for this fusion. I think he's really insane. He's a must get, and I hope that this schedule that I've kind of laid out gives you guys a more clear, at least gives you guys a bit of confidence in trying to complete it. So far it hasn't been too unexpected. Like I said, with the events, the layout and the structure of the schedule is actually very reasonable. Like I said, like, you got the dragon, ice golem together with the first Dungeon Diver. That's great. This part, Fire Knight into Dungeon Diver, it's going to be extra energy, but the ability to skip 2 by doing the Heroes Path means we can save the energy by not doing the third Dungeon Diver, for example. And for the Champion Chase, we have up to 3 fusions that we can fuse during the Champion Chase. And keep in mind, guys, these are void epics, so they're going to be worth 650 points each, which means this Champion Chase should be completed relatively quickly with the remaining points. If it's 2,500, it's probably going to be a little bit more, but still, I think it's going to be more than reasonable. But yeah. Anyways, guys, hopefully this fusion plan was helpful for you guys. Let me know in the comments below what you guys are planning to do. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.